All right, first things first, I'm George Wall. This is Patrick Calvo. We're with Eagle Enclosures. A few of you guys might know us. A few of you guys might not. But basically, we do one thing and one thing well. We do temporary building enclosures. We do things ranging from, winter enclosures for people up north when they're working in the cold. Not something out in California that you guys have to really worry about. So what we're going to talk to you mostly today about is debris netting enclosures and safety enclosures, dust enclosures, debris enclosures that wrap around job sites. It's something that goes on in jobs in your area, and if you kind of look at this first picture that we have right here, this is actually the Freedom Tower in New York. We had quite a bit of material on that project. If you look at that right there, that's about 25 floors exposed. If you look starting at the very top, you'll see some blue debris net that turns into kind of a black debris net that went all the way around the building. Created a pretty a good enclosure to hold dust, debris. They were doing some fireproofing and some dust type work up there. They wanted that fully enclosed. And if you actually kind of work your way down, you'll notice some orange debris net that wraps around each floor on the OSHA compliant guardrail that wrapped around the entire building. There was literally thousands of rolls that were sold on this project for quite a big lot of money there. We'll go into the next slide. Back one up. This is an indication of where we have warehouses. We're corporate out of New Orleans, but we do operate 11 warehouses around the country that ship out 98% same-day shipments when you guys call in. If you get us an order by 3 o'clock, we pretty much will get it out 98% of the time that same day. Also, if you take a look a little bit closer, on the West Coast, we have 4 locations on the West Coast, 3 in California that have a product for immediate will call. As you know, in the construction industry, when contractors need something, they need it as soon as possible. And with you guys having operations in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego, you guys have access to material same day. First thing to kind of show you the scope of enclosures, a typical sales rep might walk onto this job right here, which was in New York City. They might see the debris net, but they might not fully understand the scope of how much money in enclosures is on that job. I kind of want everybody to just take a quick second, think real quick how much money you think is on that job, because most sales reps will probably say, oh, maybe $5,000, $10,000, maybe even $20,000. But in reality, this is a job in New York City where we sold over $100,000 worth of enclosures on it. If you start at the bottom there, the full bottom of the enclosure was wrapped in a blue debris net around the scaffold. Each floor was wrapped in a heavy-duty safety net orange that wrapped each individual floor. And if you look at top, which might be a little bit difficult to see, there's actually horizontal netting that hangs out horizontal from the edge of the building all the way around the edge. That's actually designed to catch personnel. These nets are highly rated. They're rated for 17,500 pounds. So if, heaven forbid, somebody was to fall from that top floor, this net would be capable of catching you and saving your life. Like I said, it's a tremendous amount of money. Most sales reps walk right by the opportunity, don't even understand how much money and how much opportunity is in enclosures. I know some of you might say, well, that's a job in New York. The Freedom Tower was in New York. I don't think my jobs around my area have it. Well, Patrick here is our West Coast sales rep. He is very much involved in sales on the West Coast, and he put together a slideshow of jobs on the West Coast that currently have or had in the past materials that you could sell.
All right, we'll take a look here, guys, and you'll see this is just a basic picture. Contractor fooling with some rebar right here. Just behind him, you can see there's an existing guardrail on the back side made out of 2x4, and it's a walkway of some sort, probably 4 or 5 feet, a walking area. You'll see the debris netting up 4 feet high, orange, bright, high visibility debris netting, And what it's used for is safety protection for tools, debris, stuff like that to fall off. And I'll go to the next picture. Guys, this looks a little bit familiar for you out in LA. This is obviously the Wilshire Grand development. Big old project going on you guys are all familiar with. And you'll see that walkway is about right here. And you can see how they have installed some orange netting along the way to keep in the tools and the debris chunks from falling off to the men working about 40, 50 feet below. So it's just kind of a small scope of what's there. As that building begins and continues to go up, there will be more and more debris netting used floor by floor as the concrete's poured in. We'll go to another project in Southern Cal, and you'll see here, this is San Diego. This was an apartment complex, 1050B down in San Diego, and you'll see quite a bit of black debris netting wrapped around the exterior facade of the building. What they were doing here is they had a little bit of scaffold on the bottom, but some of it was just draped floor by floor as they were doing exterior restoration work to the facade, which means they were probably taking off the old facade, putting the new facade on. And that contractor, in fact, had been required to put debris netting up. Being a downtown area of San Diego, you can see cars moving, they have pedestrians walking, and what have you. So the contractor had to enclose the job and enclose the building with debris netting for some type of safety protection to keep tools, dust, and whatnot inside and contained within the job site. Next one is just another basic view of debris netting up on scaffolding. You'll see the scaffolding goes up about 15, 16 stories high here on a condominium over on the coast in lower San Diego. Basically for the same purpose, is to keep tools and debris within the scaffold area as they take off or restore the existing facade. This is another one in San Diego, guys, and this is a pretty big project you're all familiar with a couple years back, and it was the federal courthouse. Federal courthouse, you can see here some bright netting. This is bright orange safety or debris netting used as a temporary guardrail, probably hooked onto cables, and it's hooked on the leading edge, which is the very leading edge of the building. It's to keep men from walking off the edge, and it's also used to keep tools, smaller chunk debris, small rocks, bolts, nails, what have you, in the job site. This was midway through the process, but you can see if I had a later picture on that date, you would see that the orange netting went up all 8, 9, 10 floors of that building. Just below it here, you'll see some green tarps. You guys in California probably see some of these green tarps hanging or draping off the edge of buildings. These are known as mesh debris tarps. These tarps are used to keep dust, debris, overspray, fireproofing overspray, commercial painting overspray. It's to contain it and keep it all within the job site. And we'll go on to one more. We'll go up to Northern California. This is a nice job, guys, and this looks here is what they did is they doing a demolition project or demolishing the interior and gutting the building, and they're going to restore 100 Van Ness luxury apartments in downtown San Fran. And you'll see what they did is they took black debris netting, probably rolls of 12 feet wide material by 100 linear feet. They took them and draped them vertically down, and I'll use my cursor and kind of go down. What they did is they came down floor by floor by floor by floor and draped the netting down to keep all that tools, dust, and debris, as you can see, as they work on all 35, 40 stories of this building. We'll go one more. This is a big project right off the Bay Bridge in San Francisco, One Rincon. And you can see what Webcor did here is they actually took, I believe this was yellow, it's high visibility yellow debris netting. If you look closely on each floor, there's yellow debris netting that goes from floor deck up to floor ceiling. This is used to keep maximum amount of debris from falling off the edges, so it's called floor-to-floor debris netting. And you'll see, this is a 45-story building. Every single floor has debris netting. So you're talking quite a bit of enclosure here. Along this little black strip up on about the 35th floor, you'll see personnel safety netting draped off. This is used to catch heavy chunk debris and also worker personnel if one would accidentally fall off the edge of whatnot. So that would be a personnel safety net. And just outside of buildings, guys, this stuff is used, on various other structures. I know Hub being heavily involved with concrete. Here's a bridge that was being, rehabilitated over there in California, and you could see just along the existing guardrail was some orange debris netting of ours that was installed to keep tools and just some concrete chunk from flying off on the road below over here, and also on the pathway over here. And just to kind of sum it up, this is what a typical roll of orange debris netting looks like. You know, you can see how it's installed on the leading edge, is what we call it, the leading edge of the building, the very edge of the building, and it's also installed on the existing guardrail that is put up by the contractor. That existing guardrail could be made of plywood, 2x4s, cable, wire rope, what have you. And when you look at this roll, guys, you take a look at it, it is not typical barrier fence netting. This is debris netting. It's OSHA compliant. It is fire retardant. It is synthetic, so it's a little bit easier than plastic. It will not crack. It will not tear or rip. It's a little bit more pliable, and the big thing about it is, yes, it's flame retardant. It's high strength and high UV. Very different than your common barrier fence netting or inexpensive plastic fence netting used for crowd control or traffic control.
One more thing I want to point out about this netting is you look at that job right there, and you might only think that maybe there's a few rolls used. There's actually close to 50 rolls used on that job right there. These rolls can easily retail in excess of $100 a roll, so you can quickly do the math and see how just asking this question and, figuring out, who's using that stuff could easily mean some real dollars, additional dollars, I should say, to your business. So when you see this stuff on the building, know that there's some serious money in it. It could be some serious money that could go into to the hub's bottom line. Real quick, just to give you a little bit better understanding of what this stuff is and how it's installed, we made a video to demonstrate how this stuff is installed. So give me 1 second as I load this video up. Like I said, just keep in mind we keep plenty of this stuff stocked around the country. It's available in all different colors, orange being the most popular. You can kind of see a shot of our warehouse right there. Just keep in mind we keep plenty of this stuff in stock. Very simple. The rolls are really easy to manage. You can see what a roll looks like there. The contractor's just simply going to take it out of the plastic sheeting. Pretty much just get rid of all the other stuff that's not important. And then after this, he is going to simply just unroll it along the cable right there. Once he either goes to the end of the roll or gets to the end of the stop where he has to stop, all he's going to do is simply cut the roll to the needed length. Pretty simple stuff. After that, all he's going to do is take that debris net, kind of wrap it around the cable. As such, take a heavy-duty zip tie, push it through, back around, and zip tie the stuff to the cable. That zip tie is going to be installed approximately every 2 foot, all the way down. After that, all the contractor is going to do is use these steel plates that we provide, approximately every 5 feet along the bottom of the netting, and he's just going to take a power-actuated fastener and then just fasten those plates with the netting underneath it right into the concrete. Simple as that. Sometimes the contractors have toe boards up. It's perfectly acceptable to take the netting and install it directly onto the top of the toe board with the plate. Or if he's putting down toe boards, you can simply take that toe board, put it on top of the netting, and then just install that toe board right into the concrete with the netting underneath it. It's a perfectly acceptable way to do that as well. The last thing you'll see is if there's an overlap, all the contractor wants to do is basically overlap that 18 inches to create an 18-inch overlap. As you see here, they don't always just do it at the 42-inch guardrail. They also do a full floor-to-floor netting, which creates a much greater safety barricade than just the typical, just 42-inch guardrail. Go back into the PowerPoint here. Have this load up for 1 second.
All right, I'm going to go over just one slide and kind of show you the two different, you go through here.
Well, real quick, last thing we put on this slide is typical contractors who are going to use this are going to be your general contractors, your concrete contractors, your steel contractors, elevator contractors. Keep in mind that there's always those elevator pits. These elevator contractors buy a tremendous amount of this material and are usually overlooked. And then anybody who's doing vertical access up on the side of the building.
This little slide here shows two types of debris nettings. Basically, debris nettings and safety nettings kind of go hand in hand. The one George just kind of discussed was the orange or blue, what have you, or two typical colors, is the safety guard netting. It is our SG series, and basically it is a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch netting. So just to give you a relative size, you know, it's probably 4 of these little squares probably equals about a nickel. So just give you a relative size. And this one on the right side is black debris netting. This is most commonly used on scaffolding, swing stages, and other platforms like that. So we'll kind of go through and talk about debris netting here, another big item for us. Debris netting, as you can see here, we'll talk about this job. Debris netting was installed here as they were doing restoration work to probably a historical building of some sort. I believe this one was actually Midwest, so this one was in Chicago. And you can see here, they draped this roll of netting over the scaffolding and attached it back using zip ties to do the same thing to keep in chunk debris, tools, bolts from falling off on the pedestrians below that are obviously walking right around the corners. Contractors that use this product, George went through the orange netting on the contractors, a little bit different here. These are more exterior-based contractors, people doing work, masonry work, restoration work, waterproofing work. They do, when they go up and down and do waterproofing, and then they'll do scaffolding, EIFS, stucco contractors, plastering contractors, swing stage guys, you know, they all wind up using netting for the exterior facades of the building. We'll go back and we're going to play a little quick video on how debris netting is installed. And we have a pretty large inventory of netting. We've got all kind of sizes, all kind of styles, and colors. As you can see here, it's just an array of different size rolls, different color rolls. This one here is a typical size roll. You know, it's folded down. It's easy to carry, easy to manhandle. You can take these things and you can either bring them up the scaffold, or what many contractors do is actually unroll them on the floor level and cut it to size that they think they're going to need, or maybe the entire roll. What they do is they wind up hoisting it up the scaffold. Much easier than carrying the roll up the scaffold and having to deal with that. So what we did here is we cut it to size for the scaffold frame. George and I kind of hoisted it up on the first level of scaffold, what have you. And we attach it using our recommended method, which is fastening with cable ties or zip ties. Now what George is doing here is, you can see there's some reinforced buttonholes on the edge of our materials. This is built in the fabric every 2 or 4 inches. So you'll see buttonholes that are easily designed to take zip ties and tie them through and fasten them right back to the scaffold frame. We suggest doing that, you know, every 2 to 4 feet. Obviously, the more fastening points, the tighter the enclosure. If you can't happen to find a place in the middle to fasten it, you can see George did a simple pinch here with his hand. He pinched the fabric together, creating a little reinforcement, and went back to the center cross frame and simply fastened it there right in the middle. So you don't only have to attach it on the ends. Another method is using tie wire, and tie wire is just it's a common method because many contractors have tie wire on the job presently. Cut a little 12-inch, 14-inch strip of tie wire, apply it through the reinforced buttonholes or eyelet holes, and fasten it back to the scaffold frame. Cut off any tips or sharp edges, and you got that done. Putting sandbags down on the bottom will will allow the fabric not to blow up in the bottom and keep all that down and nice and tight. You can also install vertically if need be. You can frame by frame, up, down, so you can go drop it from the top and vertically down. So we'll flip back to the slideshow here.
Give it a second to load up. Okay. All right, last thing to keep in mind, as Patrick kind of talked about the contractors, you know, keep in mind that, you know, this stuff is pretty much used on scaffolding. It can also be attached to anything else. It doesn't have to be attached to scaffolding. Sometimes contractors will hang rope, cable, or even just put this stuff to the exterior of the studs and cocoon the job site. Like I said, this product is catching on. It wasn't used that much probably 5 to 10 years ago, but you're seeing it being used much more, over the years, and that trend's going to continue. Wrap this thing up real quick. Eagle does beyond debris netting. We do all kinds of different types of tarps, nettings, sheetings, plastic sheetings. The wraps around the building, we pretty much do it. We think that netting's basically the main thing that Hub's going to have the most instant impact with. But keep in mind, we do carry all kinds of other enclosures. We know you guys' motto is Hub has it, so now we think Hub has netting. We hope that it's a new income stream for you guys, something that you guys can go out there and sell, bring some new revenue in. If you got any questions, please give us a